Hey, this is Paige DeSorbo from Giggly Squad, and today I want to talk to you about Boost Mobile. Quick question, why are we letting our phone bills bully us? Here's a money tip. Stop paying a carrier tax. When you bring your own phone and switch to Boost Mobile's $25 unlimited forever plan, you can unlock up to $600 in savings. That's real-life money, not money trapped in a pricey phone bill. $600 is a trip, a shopping spree, or paying something off. Your money belongs in your life. You get unlimited data, talk, and text for $25 a month with no contracts and no minimum line requirement. Your phone, your rules. Head to boostmobile.com to switch today and unlock the savings you actually deserve. After 30 gigabytes, customers may experience lower speed. Customers pay $25 per month while active on Boost Mobile Unlimited plan. Savings claim based on a January 2026 Boost Mobile survey comparing average annual payments of major carrier customers to 12 months on the Boost Mobile Unlimited plan. Visit boostmobile.com for details.
AI is transforming customer service. It's real and it works. And with Finn, we've built the #1 AI agent for customer service. We're seeing lots of cases where it's solving up to 90% of real queries for real businesses. This includes the real-world complex stuff like issuing a refund or cancelling an order. And we also see it when Finn goes up against competitors. It's top of all the performance benchmarks, top of the G2 leaderboard, and if you're not happy, we'll refund you up to $1 million, which I think says it all. Check it out for yourself at fin.ai.
United Health Group is simplifying healthcare by investing in tools to help patients know more and pay less. These tools help patients find providers and compare costs and save hundreds of dollars annually. Learn more at unitedhealthgroup.com/commitment.
Hello, I'm Sarah.
I'm Toby.
And welcome to the Whispering Woods podcast. This episode is all about
The Durango possession.
Yeah, it is. A really interesting story, this. I can't wait. I can't wait for you to hear it. But first of all, we have a new patron.
Brooke.
Hi, Brooke. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast. We really, really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
If you'd like to support the podcast, you can do so by visiting patreon.com/The Whispering Woods, where we have a number of tiers, and for a small monthly fee, you can listen ad-free. We are also on Apple Premium now, and for $4.99 a month, you can listen ad-free also. You can also support us by taking a look at our social media. I am picking it up again now and doing little sort of stories around, going around the local area and covering spooky things, spooky and mysterious things around me, just to get me in that vibe, because I love it. And all of the links are in the podcast notes. Right, we'll get straight into this spooky case. I don't know what it is about this time of year, but I always think about possession cases. And so, we're diving into this one. Are you ready for the story?
Yes, I am.
Our story begins with the Briseno family. A father, Abraham, mother, Mariana, and their children, who moved from the United States to the quiet outskirts of Victoria de Durango in the early 1980s. They settled into an old, isolated house on the edge of town. The locals already talked about this house, and according to rumours among the townsfolk, the property was maldita, cursed or haunted by some malevolent presence. Some say the previous occupants had met mysterious ends, though that detail lives mostly in lore. Regardless, it was the kind of place that gave neighbours a bad feeling. The Briseno's, however, paid no mind to superstitions. The family was openly atheist, a rarity in devout Mexican community, and they dismissed the town's warnings about their new home. They did not attend church on Sundays, nor partake in the village's religious events, which immediately set them apart. The townspeople eyed them with suspicion and kept a polite distance. In a small Catholic town, refusing to engage in local faith traditions made the Brizzinos outsiders, and perhaps, in the eyes of some neighbours, even inviting trouble of a spiritual kind. This social rift would grow with time. For a while, nothing outrageous happened. The Brizzinos tried to go about their life, and the community largely left them alone. But behind closed doors, one family member was struggling. The Brizzinos' youngest child was a girl named Karen. Not yet 15 years old, she had to adjust to a new country, a new school, and a town that viewed her family as strange. Karen's classmates at the local school noticed she was quiet and withdrawn. Unfortunately, kids being kids, they singled her out. She became a target of bullying almost immediately, teased for being the new girl and for her family's lack of religious faith. The isolation took a toll on Karen. Desperate for a friend, she began to retreat into her own little world. It wasn't long before Karen found companionship of a peculiar sort. She started speaking of an amigo imaginario, an imaginary friend she called Naro. According to later accounts, Karen claimed she met Naro one night after being awakened by whispers in the house. The disembodied murmurs led her down to the dark basement of the old mansion, or so she said, and there in the shadows she encountered a presence, a figure only she could see, who introduced himself as Naro. From that night on, Karen insisted that Naro was real. She would talk about him as if he were a living playmate residing in their home. At first, her parents might have brushed this off as a coping mechanism, a lonely child inventing a friend. But the change in Karen's behaviour was drastic and deeply troubling. Once shy and gentle, Karen became sullen, volatile, and at times explosively aggressive. She lashed out at her siblings and even her mother. Minor sibling squabbles that might have been normal escalated into screaming fits, and on one occasion, physical scuffles. At school, this once timid girl began to bully the classmates who had tormented her. Teachers described her personality as flipping to a hostile and grosserer, rude demeanour overnight. It was as if Karen were a completely different person, or as some later wondered, as if someone else was inside her. Family members and schoolmates would later report something that truly made their blood run cold. They claimed that Karen's voice sometimes changed. In the middle of her angry outbursts, a guttural, chilling voice would erupt from Karen, a voice that sounded nothing like a little girl. One teacher would never forget the day Karen screamed at a classmate, and for a few seconds, the voice that came out of her was deep, gravelly, almost inhuman. Her parents too confessed that on several occasions they heard a strange male-sounding voice emanate from their daughter's throat. At night there were sounds coming from Karen's room, sometimes whispers, sometimes low growls. When confronted, Karen would either have no recollection or would blame Naro, the friend she met in the basement. Things took an even more bizarre turn during a seemingly innocent school activity. One morning, Karen's class was working on an arts and crafts project, making little paper dolls. There were about a dozen students and a teacher in the room. What happened next is truly terrifying, and multiple people swear it's true. As the children finished their paper figures, the cutout dolls began to move on their own. Witnesses said the paper dolls slid across the desks and even floated a bit, right in front of astonished classmates and the teacher. Chaos erupted in the classroom. Kids screamed, and the teacher, stunned and terrified, hurriedly tried to collect the dancing paper cutouts. All eyes turned to Karen. She stood quietly in the corner with an unsettling smirk, as if she knew exactly what was happening. The incident was so disturbing that the story spread beyond the school, and soon the whole town was buzzing about Karen and the witchcraft or demonic forces at play. By this point, whispers of La Nina Posida, the possessed girl, were circulating in the community. The Brizano family's isolation and strange predicament became the number one gossip topic in the markets and church gatherings. Neighbours reported other odd occurrences around the Brizano home. Some claimed they heard noises, unexplained noises at night, like heavy thuds or animalistic growls echoing from within the walls. A few locals even said they saw shadows flickering in the Brizano's windows when no one was supposed to be at home. The fear was growing in the town. Those who had been wary of the family before now openly spoke of maldición, a curse, or demonic presence afflicting them. Desperate and frightened, some members of the community decided to take action. They approached the Brizanos with a collective plea. Let us help your daughter through the church. Town elders and the local priest, Father Miguel, were convinced that Karen was under demonic possession and needed an exorcism. They offered to perform an exorcism ritual with the church's support to expel whatever demon might have latched on to the girl. In a deeply Catholic place, turning to God's power was the natural response to such evil manifestations. It said that Father Miguel had even contacted the diocesan authorities to prepare for a formal exorcism if the family would consent. But the Brizano parents, true to their skeptical nature, refused outright. From their perspective, Karen was a sick child, not an infernal battleground. They didn't believe in demonic possession, and the idea of subjecting their daughter to a religious rite likely seemed both humiliating and dangerous to them. They worried that an exorcism could traumatize her further. Instead, they took a path more in line with their secular beliefs. They sought medical and psychiatric help for Karen. The family travelled to doctors, possibly even making trips to larger cities for specialists, hoping to find a clinical explanation for Karen's drastic behavioural changes. Some sources mention that the Brizanos consulted both physicians and psychologists, suspecting perhaps that Karen was suffering from a mental health disorder or neurological problem. Tragically, the medical route provided no answers. Tests came back normal, no brain tumours, no signs of epilepsy, no obvious illnesses. Psychiatrists were puzzled. Karen didn't neatly fit any standard diagnosis like schizophrenia or dissociative identity disorder, at least based on the limited evaluation they could do. At times, Karen was perfectly lucid and calm, insisting nothing was wrong. At other times, she flew into terrifying rages. The professionals had no idea what was going on, and some allegedly advised the parents to consider alternative help. This lack of scientific explanation only strengthened the townspeople's conviction that a demon was at work. Brizanows, however, still refused the church's intervention and returned home with Karen, essentially back to square one. This impasse created a tense standoff between the devout community and the atheist family. The villagers felt they were watching a slow-motion tragedy unfold, and they weren't wrong. They could only stand by helplessly as Karen's condition worsened and the dark phenomena continued. Sometime in 1984, the situation reached a breaking point. After months of fear, everything erupted in one terrible night. Neighbours recall that the evening started out normally enough. The Brizanows had been quiet that day, but as dusk fell, strange sounds drifted from the old house. Crashes, maybe shouts or screams, the accounts vary. Some witnesses claim they heard what sounded like a violent struggle inside. Others say there was an unearthly wailing. What is certain is that by the next morning, the Brizano home had fallen silent. No one had seen the family emerge at first light, which was unusual, since the father often stepped out to work or start errands early. By midday, concern prompted action. One version of events says that Father Miguel, the priest, felt compelled to check on the family after sensing something was very wrong. Another version says that a neighbour went to the house first. Either way, someone eventually entered that house and made a gruesome discovery. Every member of the Brizano family was dead inside. According to later retellings, they were found in different rooms, as if each was caught by surprise by death. The specifics here are hazy. This is where rumour and fact blend. Some say the bodies showed signs of violence, yet no outsider had broken in. Others claim the family's corpses were contorted, faces frozen in terror, with no clear cause of death. One especially chilling detail: among the dead was reportedly a priest. The local priest who had offered to exorcise Karen. Some sources say he was found lifeless along the family that morning. This suggests that, perhaps, in the final hours, the Brizanows did invite Father Miguel to attempt an exorcism after all. If true, whatever transpired during that attempted ritual was lethal, not only to the family, to the clergyman as well. It's worth noting that official records of a priest's death are hard to find. This could be a later embellishment of the legend. Yet one contemporary report explicitly mentions a representative of the Catholic Church was among the fatalities. The authorities were called and police arrived to a scene that defied logic. There were no signs of forced entry, no obvious toxins, no gunshot wounds. It was as if the family had simply dropped dead, all around the same time. A case of mass sudden death inside a supposedly cursed house. The kind of thing that should have drawn intense investigation. Yet here is where the story becomes as much about silence as horror. The incident was treated quietly, almost like an embarrassment. The police opened a file on it. A homicide investigation by default, since an entire family, plus possibly an outsider, was dead. But information about what they found is scarce and perhaps suppressed. One journalist who later looked into the case noted that the whole affair remained just a police matter that never went anywhere. There are hints of truly unsettling evidence found in the house. Director Henry Bedwell who researched the police archives decades later, mentioned that strange drawings and paintings were discovered on the walls inside the home. What exactly these were have not been fully revealed. Perhaps occult symbols, satanic imagery, or frantic scrawls by someone in the family losing their grip on reality. Bedwell cryptically said the artwork gave people something to think about, implying it was macabre and inexplicable. The local rumour mill, of course, filled in the blanks with its own narrative. The demon Narrow had finally claimed the family. In the lore, that final night is described as a spiritual battle gone horribly wrong. Some say the parents, in a last-ditch effort, allowed an exorcism when Callum's behaviour became murderous, only for Narrow to turn the rite into a bloodbath. One version even claims that when Father Miguel began praying, Karen, or the thing inside her, retaliated with superhuman force, causing objects to fly and the house to tremble, leading to the violent deaths of all present. The official cause of death for the Brisenows remains unknown to this day. Autopsies, if they were performed, were never publicised. No charges were ever filed. Obviously, there was no killer to arrest, at least no human one. The police file, if it still exists, is likely gathering dust or locked away. And the church, they have even more incentive to keep this quiet. If indeed a priest was lost in an exorcism attempt, it's not the kind of press the Vatican welcomes. According to locals, the church might have sent specialists to cleanse the site afterward. But again, this is hearsay. The town allegedly handled the funerals in near secrecy. It said that the villagers buried the family in the dead of night, with only a handful of witnesses, and that they did so quickly to avoid drawing attention from outside authorities or media. In fact, no records were left of those burials, according to some accounts. Whether that was out of fear, not wanting any more curse upon them, or a bid to erase a shameful episode, we cannot confirm. But the result was that by 1985, it was as if the Breseno family never existed. In the immediate aftermath, the Breseno house stood empty and silent. No one in town was willing to go near it. For a few years, it remained abandoned. There were rumours that you could still hear faint noises from within, or see a girl's silhouette in an upstairs window at night. Interestingly, it's reported that eventually the house was demolished. The decision to tear it down isn't well documented, but many assume it was to put the community at ease. By knocking down the walls that might have harboured evil, the town perhaps hoped to close that dark chapter. It's unclear if this was done by the local government or a later private owner, but by the 1990s, there was nothing left of the residence but an empty lot. The Durango possession case never received massive media coverage at the time. This was the 1980s, pre-internet, and local authorities might have downplayed the incident as just an unsolved family tragedy to avoid attracting curiosity or panic. As one report noted, the information on the case is extremely scarce, almost as if someone deliberately kept it quiet. The church in Durango presumably performed masses to bless the community and heal from the scare, but official church acknowledgement of the demonic possession claim was minimal. They typically avoid fueling such stories without solid evidence. For decades, the Briseno case was a local tale. It likely would have faded completely into obscurity if not for a spark of renewed interest in the 2010s. And that spark came from the world of cinema. Mexican filmmaker Henry Bedwell stumbled upon the story while researching exorcism cases, and he was immediately captivated. Bedwell dug into whatever records he could find, even requesting access to police archives in Durango, to ground his film in reality. The resulting movie, Caram la Possession, was shot on location in Durango in 2019 and released in late 2021. The film took creative liberties. In the movie's plot, Karen's character actively uses demonic powers, and an exorcism battle is graphically depicted. But one unsettling touch is at the end of the film, they show what is purported to be the last actual photograph of the real Briseno family, smiling and unaware of the doom that awaited them. The filmmakers say this photo was from the real case file, and the film's ending also imagines a cover-up. The church removes Karen from the house alive and locks her away, and secures her diary full of demonic writings in a vault. But why was this included? Because it mirrors the feeling many had about the real case, that the truth was locked away by authorities, secular and religious, leaving only speculation. The movie's release spurred journalists. Did that really happen? Articles in mainstream media began rehashing what little is known. Major newspapers like El Universal and El Siglo de Torreon published pieces summarizing the Durango's possession story, confirming some key facts. Yes, in 1984, a family named Briseno in Durango all died under mysterious circumstances, and locals attributed it to demonic possession. They acknowledged that it's treated as a legend, but grounded in a real unsolved case. But it was also emphasis that the police investigation never concluded. Essentially, it's a cold case. And another claim, one that is particularly scary. Karen was consciously aware of her possession and did not want to be freed. She liked having the demon inside her because it gave her power and made her less afraid. If true, that paints the situation in an even more disturbing light. If Karen truly bonded with this entity, did she play a role in whatever happened to her family? Was it revenge for not believing her? Or was this just a sensational add-on to the legend? We'll never know.
The Maps app that came with your phone? It's fine if you enjoy waiting and guessing and inefficient routes. Or you could use MapQuest. MapQuest is back with live directions, real-time traffic, and faster routes. It moves when you move. Best of all, no printer needed. No paper. No more missed turns. Just you and the app. Get there fast with MapQuest. Download the MapQuest app on the App Store or visit MapQuest.com. MapQuest, still getting you there.
The Bleacher Report app is your destination for sports. Right now, the NBA is heating up, March Madness is here, and MLB is almost back. Every day there's a new headline, a new highlight, a new moment you've got to see for yourself. That's why I stay locked in with the Bleacher Report app. For me, it's about staying connected to my sports. I can follow the teams I care about, get real-time scores, breaking news, and highlights all in one place. Download the Bleacher Report app today so you never miss a moment.
When I hear stories about sort of possessions in Mexico, I always think they're a bit more authentic. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They just seem more real. I guess maybe it's because I've seen it in films and stuff like that. And the film mentioned, because this is a film, I've not watched. So I'm going to try and see if I can find it and watch it.
Yeah.
Because I'd never heard of this story before until I started doing my little bit of research, and there it was. Because I was like, yeah, I want some demonic possession.
Yeah.
Maybe that's because I'm feeling it. I'm feeling like I'm possessed at the moment.
Yeah, you are.
I know. It happens sometimes, things happen,
Yeah.
and I get a little bit possessed. It's not a bad thing. It's just a reset.
That's the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll catch up with you again soon.
We will indeed. I will catch up with you on Thursday for the Reddit and listener story. And then I'll be back again on Sunday for After Dark. Take care, everyone.
Goodbye.
The Bleacher Report app is your destination for sports. Right now, the NBA's heating up, March Madness is here, and MLB is almost back. Every day there's a new headline, a new highlight, a new moment you've got to see for yourself. That's why I stay locked in with the Bleacher Report app. For me, it's about staying connected to my sports. I can follow the teams I care about, get real-time scores, breaking news, and highlights all in one place. Download the Bleacher Report app today so you never miss a moment.
The stories told on the Whispering Woods are inspired by historical records, witness reports, and local folklore. While every effort is made to research and represent events accurately, some details, names, and locations may differ from official accounts or have been changed out of respect for those involved. These episodes are created for storytelling and entertainment purposes and should not be considered definitive fact or investigative journalism.